back, ladies and gentlemen. Our upcoming session, Bombay, the City We Lost, sees the book launch of Mills, Malls, Mullah by Bachi Karkaria. We also have with us here for this launch Charles Correa, who will talk about how we have lost the plot, and the introduction will be done by Gyan Prakash. Bachi Karkaria, as most of us here would know, is a game changer in Indian journalism. She has created and edited some of the Times of India's most distinctive editions and played a pivotal role in bringing urban issues to the front page. She also happens to be the festival director of the Times of India Literary Carnival. The work of Charles Correa expresses an abiding concern for climactic, cultural and metaphysical issues, from the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Museum in Ahmedabad to the Kanchenjunga Apartments in Mumbai, the Brain Research Center at MIT in Boston, and most recently, the elegant Champali Moore Center in Lisbon. A pioneer in low-cost housing and urbanization in India, Rajiv Gandhi appointed him chairman of the first National Commission on Urbanization. He has received the highest honors of his profession, including the Gold Medal of the RIBA, the Gold Medal of the UIA, and the Premium Imperial of Japan. Thank you for being here with us today, Mr. Correa. Gyan Prakash is the Dayton Stockton Professor of History at Princeton University and is the author of several books. His publications include the widely acclaimed Mumbai Fables, which forms the basis of the script he wrote for Bombay Velvet, a film currently under production under the direction of Anurag Kashyap. In 2001, at the British Library in London, he discovered the manuscript of a novel written in 1927 by a Bombay Parsi. The Tower of Silence, edited and with an introduction by him, was published in 2013. Mr. Prakash, thank you for being here with us today as well. May I request you to take on the discussion from here, please? Thank you.
Is this, yeah. Thank you, and it's a great pleasure being here. And I have the great privilege also of introducing Bachi Karkaria's book, Mills, Malls, and Mullah, a book on the city of Mumbai, which is always, close to my heart. Several years ago, there's a British writer called Jonathan Rabin who wrote a book called Soft City. And he says in his book that the soft city of dreams, nightmares, aspirations, imaginations, and myths is more real, if not more real, than the hard city of demography and statistics, brick and mortar. I was very taken up by this idea of how the city can serve as a muse and how one imagines the city through various kinds of mythic formulations. This is all the more true of a city like Mumbai. And if you think of its history, beginning with 7 islets, being forged over years into a single island city, it's a city of artifice, completely built through myth, imagination, and fantasies. Now, when I started my research leading up to the book Mumbai Fables, one of the things that I looked at very deeply into was the Times of India archives. Because in a way, the Times of India, or Times, and the city have been connected since its very foundation in 1838. German philosopher Hegel said at one point that in modern life, the newspaper replaces the morning prayer. That when you start in the morning, you no longer start with the vision of God and how God tells you what life is like and what your day will be. You read the newspaper, and the newspaper tells you what the world is like and what your day will be like. And in that sense, Times of India and its archive, if you look through it, it gives you a sense of its map of the city. And as I looked through its archive, I got, through the years, its changing representations of what the city meant. And, if you look through you know, the newspaper during the day, it gives you a kind of map of the city where the jobs are, where crime is happening, where, you know, what film is opening. You get a kind of a sense of what the city means. And any immigrant coming to the city would then, you know, look at the newspaper to get a kind of a handle, a map, a road map, a guide to the city. So given this kind of connection between Times of India and the city of Mumbai, it's only appropriate that we have a book based on the archive of Times of India. So it gives me great pleasure to now hand it over to Bachi, and she'll tell you more about the book.
Thank you, Gyan. Thank you. Just on an irreverent note, Gyan said that the daily newspaper has replaced the morning prayer. And I think we all know that the newspaper has also given way to, good Lord, it's the news hour. To come back to this, since Gyan, you know, I wasn't going to read the foreword because I thought, well, this is really about the Times of India. But this book is part of the commemorative volumes of the Times of India. This is the 6th volume. I think all of them are out for you to have a look at later. And we were very happy that the management, or the powers that be, chose cities as one of the books. And it was originally supposed to be about our editions in different cities, but it has just become a book about Bombay. For the very practical reason is that the searchable archives were all about Bombay or Mumbai. And, but there was something much more, that really the subhead of this book is that it all began in Bombay, because that's really where the Times of India began and where it started and where it grew. And the second sibling, Delhi, didn't really come till 112 years later. So I'll just read to you the opening, the introduction, which is called, no, 1 minute. I will also just tell you quickly that I haven't taken a chronological view of Bombay. I have divided the book into the different strands or the different aspects of Bombay, and I'll read you my chapter headings. So the first is homing in on the city, then where it all began, which kind of talks about how Bombay and the Times of India. Then the third chapter, which is really the bulk of it, which is how Mumbai's roti has really changed from kapra to makan. So the transition from Mills Bombay to real estate Bombay, which Charles will, I think, talk to you about much more. Then we talked about the different housing scams, which are called fiddles on the roof. Then it's about how money is the driving force of Bombay, and it's called Paisa Always Vasool. Then crime, another driving force of Bombay, so that's called From Dawn to Dusk. Then Welcome to Scambai. The city grows up, which is all about the infrastructure. Then the uncrowned kings of Mumbai, like right from S.K. Patil to Sharad Pawar, with George Fernandes and Bal Thackeray and everybody else in between. Then Bombay Reels, which is the disasters which have struck Mumbai from the time of the plague and the Fort Stikine, and right up to the kind of disasters that we have lived with. Mumbai Mosaic, because however hard some parts or some people in the city try to make this into a unidimensional, homogeneous city, there's no getting away from the fact that Bombay is a melting pot. It's actually a salad bowl. And that if it weren't for the different communities, Mumbai, Bombay, whatever you choose to call it, just wouldn't exist. Then cultural revolutions, you know, right from the time of gramophone cities to page 3 culture, which I'm afraid the Bombay Times has spawned, and the Times of India too. And food, which is called From Rice Plate to Risotto. Then how can we forget the women? So that's Bombabes to Mumbai's, and a city paved with stardust. And finally, the much maligned, much celebrated spirit of Mumbai. So I'll just quickly read to you the first chapter, and then I will end, and I'll read you a middle that I wrote at the time of the first bomb blast in 1993. So the future is the city. India's globalization dream hangs on how successfully it can urbanize. But then the city has always been the dream for everyone across time, continents, and personality type. For those who wish to conquer countries and markets, minds or hearts, or simply to seek a life less destitute. It has been a symbiotic relationship. The aura of the world's evocative cities has been enhanced in the process of fulfilling these dreams, giver and taker elevating each other like song and singer, or for that matter, the city and its newspaper. The Times of India has made 50 cities its own. I'll skip all this. Everywhere the paper has sought to share, care, mirror, guide, espouse, protect the best of the past, better the present, and steer that city into a future worth the name. All this endeavor and effect has happened because at the center of the city stands its citizens. They are the paper's larger agenda. Every move is directed at empowering readers in all their roles. Claimant of civic rights, carer of children and parents, climber of corporate ladders, seeker of entertainment or enlightenment. To serve this end, the Times of India has been supporter and stone thrower, stabilizer and disruptor with equal enthusiasm. For 175 years, the mandated priority is society before state. Among all the centers which have called the Times of India its own, one stands apart. Not because the city itself is the country's major destination of dreams, the railhead of money, fame, glamour, and almost anything that every tremulous heart desires. Not because the paper had already been around for 112 years when its second sibling, Delhi, was born. It is because, quite unlike anywhere else, city and paper are the birthplace of each other. Bombay, now Mumbai, is where it all began for the Times of India way back in 1838. The Bombay Times and Journal of Commerce was created to shape and lead the city's enduring identity, its once and future business empire. This is why, of all the cities that the Times of India calls home, Mumbai claims the birthright to this 175th year book. And now, I was planning to read a little more, but I think I'll just read a middle that I wrote at the time that we had the 1993 blasts, which I think were really, the riots and those blasts were really the tipping point of the city. I think it made us question a lot of the stereotypes, images, aspirations, or the ideas that we had about ourselves. So this is called, it was called A Ballad for Bombay. And it was written on March 17, 1993. Can they put you down, swanky Bombay town? It was still Bombay. Turn the city that never sleeps into a nightmare. First a diet of riots, and then last Friday the bombs. The symbols of power, the soaring towers, crippled and brought to their knees. Buses blown to smithereens. But how do you think you can shatter a dream? A metaphor they call Bombay, of modernity, celebrity, audacity, piety, cocking a snook at atavistic piety. Its pujas are only bhat and bedi, its idols only matinee, and Satyam Shivam merely cinema halls. Ram is the migrant worker as much as Rahim, living amicably, even if Albert Pinto is occasionally given to gussa. They all came to Bombay chasing a dream. Bombayan they called it, the men from far off place and time, gliding full sailed into the harbor. First Lisbon and London, then refugee and NRI, poured into the city of gold. Eye on the main chance, head in the clouds, even if home was only the pavement. They all came here to strike a deal, to strike it big, or strike anything at all. For often, there was nothing left where they came from, and all they had was this dream. Together they shaped it. Cardiac bypasser and construction worker, the butcher, the banker, the computer programmer, and those drawn inexorably to the factory's siren song. Dream seekers all, aiming at Bollywood or the classified pages of the old lady who gave Bori Banda its name. Not all were winners, but no one was ready to abandon the grail, certain that one day the time of the idea would come. Manyar, Maniam, TR Money, money at the BSc. Did Semtex think it could silence the Sensex? City with a head start, pulling strings, tugging at the heartstrings, savers, citizens for peace, artists against communalism, divided over toilet blocks, united for a place in the sun. Black money, blackmail, green Bombay, saffron Bombay, I am curious but never yellow Bombay. Did they think they could torch it and scorch it to the color of death? Time bombs? It's known them all. Pollution, population, packed suburban stations, particulate matter, suspended so thick you can scoop it up with a spoon and eat it. Belching chimney, hiccuping gutter, bilious social divide, runaway prices, stay-at-home garbage, all ticking for decades. Did 13 bombs think they could detonate what urban blight could not? Bravado, braggadocio, pizzas and chutzpah, 1/3 of the country's IT, 60% its customs duty, 35%